Hello and welcome to Etude number 11, part 4. This is part of the Villa-Lobos 12 and 12 challenge, 12 etudes across 12 months. And we're going to dive straight into the main points of this fantastic technical section. First, the left hand shape needs adjusting as it moves up and down the fretboard. It's quite a challenging shape, so you are going to have to adjust it every time you shift. I suggest practicing it on its own and getting used to the shape as it shifts before you put your right hand in. That brings me to point number 2. Practice it left hand only, just as strums or block chords. There is a melody here, so make sure that you follow the contours of the melody. If needs be, follow the melody notes across string 5 as it moves up and down it before you put your other fingers in, so that you are used to the shifts and the contour of it. Last point, as usual, laser ahead of your hands. There are a lot of shifts in the unfamiliar territory up above frets 10 and even a little bit higher. So make sure that you are always ahead of your hands. Once you've got that position, look ahead to the next position. Always be one chord in front of yourself. Welcome to microstudy number 11. Microstudy number 11 is the big technical challenge of this piece, where you are going to move a series of octave notes up and down the fretboard in a melodic contour with an arpeggio right hand pattern. Villa-Lobos was aiming for a tremolo sound so that the notes sound almost even, and then the melody should pop up out and above the bass note and the tremolo. So with that in mind, you should practice the two hands separately. The right hand has an entirely different set of technical challenges to the left hand in this section, and that is why in this etude I have busted up. The right hand was already showcased right at the beginning in video number 1, so that you have had hopefully 3 weeks to practice the sextuplet pattern before we get to the stage. And so I still say to you then that practice your left hand separately to your right hand. Make sure they're both secure before putting them together. Let's dive in and check out the melody. Welcome to microstudy number 11. This is the poco meno section with its fantastic arpeggio tremolo style technique. So we're going to step through the shapes first. So obviously it is just one shape that gets shifted up and down the fretboard. So we have a second finger on a string 5, a fourth finger on string 3, and a first finger on string 2, and everything gets juxtaposed against that open E and that open E. So in essence the tonality is E, and Villa-Lobos is just moving the melody around that tonality and playing with the tension there. So we're going to start it off, obviously it's bar 48, just 4 octaves there, and then the tremolo kicks in. Now I've already covered this right hand pattern in the first video, so please check it out because it is integral to this study and really will help you with it. One of the other quick tips I can give you for this is Mauro Giuliani, Opus 48, number 5. That one there is a great study because it has the same right hand pattern and implications and technique that you need for developing right hand control. So from a Villa-Lobos point of view, we then have 4 beats of E. It then shifts up to A for 2. It then shifts down to F sharp, back up to A, G for 2, down to E, back up to G, F sharp for 2, E for 2, and then it's E with a D for 2 bars. And then it's back up and that repeats. Now the key thing here is this is nice and compact, and you've got to start to learn to stretch the fingers out as you move down into the lower regions of the guitar. So it's learning that feeling. The other thing is, up here at A, you're going to have to bring this hand round, especially if you, like me, don't have a cutout. Once it gets down to G and then even the F sharp and E, it's much easier because your hand is in a more normalized position. So the melody repeats again. And then 2 bars of. And then we have the answering phrase. So it's G for 2, down to E, back to G, F sharp for 2, and then Villa-Lobos steps us down. E, D, C for 2, B for 2, and then again we have 2 bars of. Before we head into that, the next micro study in essence, which is a turnaround bar that we've already seen before. Main tip here is laser ahead. Once you've got this position, start lasering your F sharp. Once you've got your F sharp, laser back ahead with your eyes to the A. Once you've got your A, down to the G and so forth, so that your eyes are always one step ahead of you. Obviously, if you don't have markers on the guitar, you've got to realize and remember where your 7th fret is. That's always a good idea, just to maybe do a little pencil mark at the 7th fret. I know it rubs off, but even if you need to, pencil mark at 10. Just a very light dab on the bout there, and you can get to 10 nice and easily. And in essence, that is it for this section. There's not much to it. I would suggest practicing it this way first to get used to the stretches. And practice the melody. That way you get the melody and its contours in your head. Once you're secure and you're happy with that left hand, then and only then stick your right hand in, which obviously hopefully you've been practicing for the last 3 weeks or so. And start working on that right hand fine control so that you can get this melody. Not this. That low E, try and keep as quiet as possible, and it's achieved through stroking through it and then putting the main emphasis with the rest stroke onto the 5th string. Just really quickly. And then obviously then you've got to put the sextuplets in and behind that as well. And again, the main emphasis is on right hand control here, so not this. Melody note, and then these nice and quiet, and that open E string in particular, because it's open, it has more room to vibrate, it is going to be louder, so you're going to have to bring your A finger down even more than your I and M fingers. So not this. Let's try that again. So not this. Because then that's uneven. This is right hand control to achieve that, where you stroke through those 2 quietly and put emphasis on string 4. And so if I do that at another angle so you can see my fingers, this is what it looks like as you shift around. And then as you watch now, I'm going to go down, and you can can really start to see the stretch happening there. That is the biggest stretch that you have in this entire piece. It is quite a difficult stretch, so you need to make sure all of those notes are nice, clean and clear, and then you get to relief with the B. And that is it. So let's just take a look at this one in slow motion, stripped back and naked. To the next microstudy. Welcome to microstudy number 12. Microstudy number 12 is ever so brief because all it is a turnaround back into the top of the section. We've already seen this idea in microstudy 5 at bar 15. All Villa-Lobos does is add in the low E, low B and D on top of that original idea. So the original idea was this. Back in, and all he's done is embellish the first chord. And we're back into the top. So there really isn't much there to it, and it all flows in from this chord. And that's it for that one. So let's move on to the last microstudy here, which is the first time we get a proper samba rhythm. Hello and welcome to microstudy number 13. Microstudy number 13 is the first nod to the Brazilian samba, where we have a proper syncopation against an accompaniment in a samba style. So the main points here are: keep the open string accompaniment low. If needs be, I have already split the lines up so you can see it. Just practice the melody notes on their own, no accompaniment, and obviously with a metronome. There is a quaver rest here. It's there for a reason. It really helps push this samba rhythm, so make sure that you're using full planting on your fingers to achieve that. There is a melody line here. You will need right hand fine control again to bring it out, so make sure that the bass line does not overpower the tenor melody. Final point. Practice getting the tumbao bassline rhythm, which is here fully now, aware that this is Afro-Brazilian music, so there is no room for rubato here. The pulse should be steady, the rhythms should be crisp, and they should be pushing the music forward almost like a rhythm section, because that is where this music comes from. It is African drumming inspired. They have taken the rhythms of Africa and they have put them and married them to the rhythms of Spain and Spanish music as well. And it has become a truly unique Brazilian cultural item. So please do not muddy the waters with rubato or anything like that. The pulse has to be steady here, and it has to really reflect that Afro-Brazilian culture that Villa-Lobos has made explicit. Let's dive in and check out this microstudy. Welcome to microstudy number 13. So microstudy number 13 picks up after this point in the second section return. And we're into that fantastic samba section. So I've split it up, so the accompaniment is this. And then the samba line is so it all ties in lovely and wonderfully. So your main bit here is to try and get that little melody fragment above this and this. So this needs to be down, the bass and the flat 5 need to be really low on the agenda, and right hand fine control into that note. So in essence, again, it comes back to this entire study. It's all about right hand fine control, where you are stroking gently past these two strings and energy directed at that string there. And then if you put them together, the main thing again obviously is to make sure that this full planting with fingers IMA to really make that pop. Let's take a look. Fingering wise, we have first finger on a B flat and fourth finger on an F sharp. Now if needs be from the chord previous to it, which is the B, you could do, but I have chosen to do fingers 2 and 3 so that my first finger can be prepared for that B flat. So here it is in slow motion. And we're back into the ending, which we've already covered in the first video because the ending is pretty much the same as the beginning. So there is not much to this last video apart from that big technical sextuplet arpeggio tremolo idea that Villa-Lobos has here, which is the challenging bit for this etude, no doubt. Thank you very much for staying until the end. This has been part of the Villa-Lobos 12 and 12 challenge, 12 etudes across 12 months, and it's all been hosted by classicalguitarrocks.com. There are a ton of lessons on Villa-Lobos there now because I've gone through an entire year of it. So head over there, grab yourself some 6-string inspiration and level up your playing today.